So, advertising in video games. We all know the score. You can have the best product or service in the world, but if people don't know, then it's an uphill battle to sell. Unfortunately, advertising can be intrusive, condescending, and annoying, especially when they appear when they are not wanted.
Didn't you have ads in the 20th century?
Well, sure, but not in our dreams. Only on TV and radio. And in magazines. And movies. And at ball games. And on buses. And milk cartons. And t-shirts. And bananas. And written on the sky. But not in dreams. No siree.
Well, there you go. And I understand, advertising, the need for it and such. And maybe in the far-flung future, people will even regard it as a high art, but I don't know anything about that. Anyways, I was surfing the internet, minding my own business, and then I saw this article. It's like, what? But in video games, and I immediately did a double take. Now, I'm a guy who's, I feel my emotions, I want to understand them, so, my first reaction is sort of like, what is this going to be? Is it going to be like playing the new Mario game and being forced to sit through a 10-second ad every time you fall through a hole? Or if you visit a store in any RPG, are you forced to watch a few ads? Or you're going to be bumping around the world of Skyrim or something, and you see like some poster that's for something, or it looks like PlayStation Home. Anyway, all the worst case scenario stuff where the annoyance of mobile gaming and free-to-play structure starts to rear its ugly head. So that was my first reaction, of course, which would be super bad and which nobody, of course, wants. When you think more about it, it's like, I get it. Like, people need to find new ways to bring in revenue. I mean, the only reason why any of this is a business or we're playing video games is because of people's need to make money. And let's be honest, it's tough. You need to constantly find new ways to get profits, especially if you're one of these big publicly traded companies where you've got shareholders that you need to pay and answer to. So I'm not really surprised that this has happened. Now, putting things in perspective, advertising and video games have been tied together really since the beginning. I mean, even nearly 30 years ago, you had entire games made just to promote like fast food restaurants. Have you heard of Coke Wins? The Burger King game. Have you ever had a box of cereal that had like a CD in it? It's a lot of the back then it was just another promotional tool. And in sports video games, which are usually popular among people who play or follow professional sports, advertising has long had its claws into that, and they may even see it as even more realistic and provide a more immersive experience. But my problem is the whole sort of slippery slope argument. And it comes from a quote at the end of the article from one of the people in the room discussing how we're going to put advertising in video games. And, they say something about, players would sit for an advert for a power shield or something. And I'm just kind of like, Because at this point, you're not concentrating on how the player benefits, They're just another captive audience that you want to sell something to. And the fact of the matter is, advertising works. We like to think that it doesn't, and that we're mentally strong and too clever to be like seduced by advertising, but it works on us. We all wanted something, even stuff that seems superfluous. So at the end of the day, it's a little bit scary, because I know that people don't like the slippery slope argument, but it's true. I mean, we only need to look back in the history of video games to see, hey, DLC sounded like a great idea. Developers wanted to include something new in the game, so they sell it to you later. Sounded all right to me. I mean, you're getting a complete great game, right? And this is just an extra sparkle on top of that. And unfortunately, no, we've got like, end up with DLC horse armor and games that are incomplete or need like 2 gigabytes worth of patches, or it's just sort of like, oh, we patched this post-release, everyone's pre-ordered it. You end up with stuff like No Man's Sky, where it's sort of like, oh wait, if only we built the game that we promised, people would have liked it. In any case, I think it's something that we need to sort of pay attention to, because we do not want free-to-play or freemium, whatever you call it, mobile gaming sort of structure so you can nickel and dime, or sit through these free adverts and then get a new life or something. It's just, no, we want them to put effort and ingenuity into other parts of the game. So it's more important than ever that we are more aware of that stuff, what's going on, so people can make decisions before they buy video games. I mean, in my life, I only ever pre-ordered 2 games, and I'm not eager to do that because it just doesn't seem like a good deal for the consumer. But at the end of the day, people will make their own decisions, and if the market's willing to put up with it, then you as a single person don't really have much of a sway. But I'm still going to be on the guard for this, because it's just sort of like, video games is just my entertainment. I want to escape from stuff. I don't want to be advertised to. So I guess we'll see where this goes. See if the next Halo game has a power shield in it that you sit for an advert for, and go from there. We got 2 consoles on the way in the most depressing year of any decade I've been alive. But you have to remain optimistic, I suppose. But I just wanted to just share a few thoughts swirling around my head about this. So I'm interested to, like, anyone who's like listening this far, sort of like, what do you think? Where do you think this is all going? And how much would you put up with? And do you take the consumer side of sort of like, hey, you need to be focused on making the best game for me? Or are you sort of on the other side where it's sort of like, hey, you're in this to make money, do whatever you need to do. If your end product's bad, I'll not buy it. If it's still worth playing and it has a few ads in it, sure, I'm down for that. So, just see what thoughts anyone has, and guess I'll speak to you guys soon.